2018 was the year India took to the streets in protest. From farmers to students, dissent and discontent was the overriding mood as the year witnessed a slew of protests, all of it bound by one common thread, the threat to livelihood. Here's a look at the year when India decided it's time to demand her due.
March 6, 2018. Thousands of farmers from various parts of Maharashtra descended upon the financial capital Mumbai, marching over 180 kilometers to draw the nation's attention to their plight. The farm sector had been grappling with droughts, unseasonal rains and crop failure for the last several years. And apathy from the government had further undermined the agrarian sector's fragile economy. The farmers' list of demands was simple: complete loan waiver, a minimum support price 1.5 times the cost of production, and complete implementation of the Swaminathan Committee report. The Maharashtra government was forced to take note and promised to fulfill their demands within 3 months. But these promises were mere words. Nearly 8 months later, 20,000 farmers once again marched from Thane to Mumbai's Azad Maidan with their charter of demands, reiterating the issues they had raised in the month of March. This time, the Devendra Fadnavis government was forced to accept all their demands in view of the upcoming general elections. However, Maharashtra wasn't the only state that witnessed a farmer agitation. The national capital witnessed a number of farmer agitations, the longest being the protest of Tamil Nadu's farmers who stripped in Delhi's freezing winters and carried skulls and bones to draw a nation's attention to their plight. Still later, on October 2, more than 30,000 farmers came knocking at the door of the union government. Most of these farmers from Uttar Pradesh had marched over 200 kilometers to raise their demand before the government. But rather than sit down with them for a dialogue, they were met with water cannons and tear gas shells at the borders of the national capital. However, when the rally refused to disperse, the government relented at midnight and let them in. The farmers called off the protest despite the government not heeding their demands. The year also witnessed young India's frustration over unemployment manifest itself in the form of angry protests. The extent of the job crisis before the country was highlighted by the 1.5 crore job applications the Indian Railways received for 90,000 vacancies. If that was not indication enough, in March 2018, thousands of railway job aspirants blocked Mumbai's suburban railway services. Their demand: scrap the 20% quota and grant jobs to all local candidates who had cleared the All India Railway Apprentice exam. Rattled by the crisis, Railway Minister Piyush Goyal held a series of meetings, and after a written assurance, protesters withdrew the agitation. But the spectre of joblessness haunted governments at the centre and in states all year through. In November, thousands of teachers protested against the Uttar Pradesh government outside the Lucknow State Assembly. The protests broke out after the Allahabad High Court quashed the selection of over 12,000 government teachers and ordered a CBI probe into the government's recruitment exercise. In Maharashtra, unemployment was the lead motive of the quota politics and caste violence that rocked the state. July saw hundreds of protesters demanding quotas in employment and education for the Maratha community march to the city of Mumbai. As protests got out of hand, thousands of protesters attacked buses, halted trains and blocked highways. The state was also witness to another round of Maratha protests in August. Finally, after much deliberation, the Devendra Fadnavis government declared the Marathas socially and educationally backward and cleared the path to a 16% quota for the community.
अध्यक्ष महोदय, मी पुन्हा एकदा या सभागृहाचे मनपूर्वक आभार मानतो. मराठा समाजाच्या आरक्षणाच्या संदर्भात सातत्याने होणारी मागणी आणि त्याकरता जो मागासवर्ग आयोगाचा अहवाल आला होता, त्या अहवालाच्या अनुषंगाने या ठिकाणी आपण कायदा आणला. या कायद्याच्या माध्यमातून मराठा समाजाला आरक्षण देण्याच्या संदर्भात हा कायदा एकमताने या सभागृहाने संमत केल्याबद्दल संपूर्ण सभागृहाचे मी आभार मानतो.
But nothing was probably more telling of Young India's frustration and disappointment than the protests over the alleged leak of the Staff Selection Commission or SSC exam papers. Thousands of job aspirants who appeared for the Government Staff Selection Commission exam protested for weeks on the streets of the national capital before the government ordered a CBI probe into the exam paper leak. These exams were online tests to fill subordinate posts in the government, and days before the exams, authorities were forced to reschedule the exam and then order a retest, but hundreds of disillusioned job aspirants refused to retake the exams. As 2018 drew to a close, the message from Young India and the farmers was loud and clear. Their livelihood was at stake, and mere assurances from the government did not cut it anymore. With the general election looming in 2019, governments at the centre and the state would do well to listen to these voters.